On the topic of cut inheritance between drawing views, I want to put down here a small extract from the help file on this particular subject. The help file says the following: cut inheritance switches on and off the inheritance of a breakout, break, section, and slice cut for the edited view. Select the checkbox to inherit the corresponding cut from the parent view. There is, however, a small paragraph in the help that I highlight here in yellow that is key and that leaves open a lot of room of interpretation. The available options are determined by the type of the edited view. What does that mean? So let's look at an example of a drawing view with 5 views, and here I can highlight here one particular problem that at first sight seems to be an inconsistency. So you see here view 1 is my first view. You see that view 9 and 15 nicely inherit that break from view 1. Although view 2 and view 3 are also child views of view 1, for instance, view 3 does not show the break at all. Why is that? In order to answer that question, we need to first step back and look at a couple of rules that are into play here with those breakout views and broken views. Rule number 1: a broken view is only propagated to a projected view if the break line runs parallel to the projection direction. That's a key rule here. The breakout view is not propagated to projected and section views, but it is propagated to detail and ISO views. So you see in some of those views more checkboxes that are reachable than in other views. In an ISO view, you can remove the propagation of all 3 cut types: break, breakout, and slice. In projected views, you can only remove the propagation of a break. The 3 other checkboxes are not enabled. And the reason there is simple. The break view is the only cut type that is inherited by a projected view. And the propagation only happens from the parent view to the child views, of course. So only the subnodes in the browser will inherit from the master node. When you use these rules, we can explain what was happening in our sample drawing. In this case, I could say that the break direction runs in this direction vertical, whereas the view direction to create views 2 and 3 goes in the horizontal direction. So there's clearly a perpendicular situation between view direction and break direction. So if we look at the rule 1 of the previous slide, this means that no break is inherited between view 1 and view 2. Because view 3 is a child view of view 2, view 3 of course does not inherit the break in view 1 either. So that is really the explanation why view 3 doesn't show the break at all. I will explain this more in detail with a live demo in the next phase. Let's have a look at the 5 rules that we just laid out in the previous slide. So rule 1 on cut inheritance was speaking about a broken view that only gets propagated to projected view if the break line runs parallel to the projection direction. Here I'm looking at sheet 1 of a drawing that I prepared to explain what this means. It's just a drawing of a connector. I'll show you the connector just to make you familiar with the part. So I'll turn it around a couple of times. So it's just a connector housing, nothing more or less. So I have a couple of views created from this housing, view number one obviously is the base view, and I created a break on the base view. From this base view I created several other views like view 2 and 3. 3 is derived from view 2. I also have a view 9 in the other direction that comes directly from view 1, and from view 9 I created view 15 with an extra projection. So you see clearly that the break is inherited in view 9 and 15, but not in views 2 and 3, although they seem to be quite similar. Well, the best that I can explain it is by unsuppressing a sketch that I made here. So you see the direction of my break line goes vertical across these three views. However, the view direction with which I created views 2 and 3 goes horizontal. So there is clearly a perpendicular situation between the view direction and the break direction. It's not going to work for view 2 and view 3 because I'm violating my rule number 1. If we go to the next sheet, I created a slightly different variation on the same theme. Instead of making a vertical break in my first view, I created a horizontal break in my first view, and I created a couple of derived projected views in the horizontal direction and in the vertical direction. Here the situation is just opposite. It's like my view direction for these vertical views here is perpendicular to the break direction which goes horizontal. So in this case my views that I place vertically will suffer, and my views that are created horizontally in line with the break line, they can carry over that break correctly. So that was rule number 1. Rule number 2 is a breakout view does not get propagated to a projected and section view, but it is propagated to a detail and an ISO view. So the best that I can explain this is by looking at sheet number 3 here, where I created a breakout view in my base view, which is called view 5. So you see my breakout sitting here. On top of that breakout I created a section view B, which sits here on the left, and I created a projected view, which is view 7, and an isometric view, which is view 6 here. So you see the isometric view clearly inherits my breakout, but my projected view nor my section view inherit the breakout. You can also easily influence the behavior in the isometric view by editing the view and going to the display options. So I can, you see here that I have the 3 choices. So in this case only the breakout would have an effect, so I can turn it off and I can turn it back on the ISO view. Okay. This was rule number 2. Rule number 3 is concerning an ISO view. So you can remove all 3 cut view types: break, breakout, or slice. In order to demo that, I return quickly to my first sheet and I look at my ISO view here. So this is a break. So you clearly see the 3 checkboxes here on the ISO view compared to, let's say, a projected view where you only have 1 checkbox sitting in that same area. So on the ISO view I can easily uncheck it, uncheck any of these that was the wrong one that I'm checking, so it is a break here in this case. So you can influence the ISO view quite easily. I have another example of an ISO view here on my sheet number 4. This is a situation where I have both a break and a slice. So here, if I go to the ISO view here, I can either uncheck the slice, but I still keep the break, or I can do the break and keep the slice, things like that, or I can just uncheck all of them. Rule number 4 is concerning the projected view. Like I demonstrated, only if you look at view 13, which is a projected view, you see that only the break is inherited here. The slice of view 8, let me zoom in a little bit closer. So the slice here has no effect on the projected view. So the result of this clearly is that only the break is inherited in the projected view. A small side note on detail views. The detail views react similarly to projected views, but there is a twist there. So here I have a detail view which makes the detail in this particular area of view 1. So you see the break is clearly inherited, but if I edit the view, I do see the checkboxes being checked, but they are governed by the parent view, not by the detail view itself. So in order to influence the detail view, I have to edit my parent view in this case. And if I don't want to see the break, oops, let me, so I think I cannot remove the break here, which is weird. I need to look into this, but anyway, the detail view is not master of his own destiny at this point. And then finally, rule number 5, the propagation only happens on the child view, of course. So if you look on sheet number 4, whatever you do to view 12, if you look at view 12, it's just a view at the same level of view 8. So whatever you do to view 8 or to its child views, it doesn't affect view 12. However, if you go back to, let's say I go in my, if I go to my sheet number 1, I can remove the break on view 9. So if I look at, if I concentrate on view 9 and view 15, so you see that 9 and 15 form a pair where 9 is the parent and 15 the child. So if I edit my break on the parent, my child view 15 follows nicely. So that was kind of a synthesis of the 5 rules concerning cut inheritance.